Welcome to the Albuquerque Journal's Tech Outlook podcast. CNM is truly one college with infinite possibilities in tech and data sciences. CNM offers programs where everyone can learn about software, apps, or how to build websites. You can also choose from AI programs and machine learning, the Internet of Things, and so much more. CNM, one college, infinite possibilities, and the proud sponsor of the Tech Outlook podcasts.
Hi, welcome back to Tech Outlook. I'm Ryan Botel with the Albuquerque Journal, and today our guest is Nora Meah with CNM Ingenuity. Nora, can you take a few minutes and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your job at CNM?
Thanks for having me, Ryan. I really appreciate it. So I joined Ingenuity as the program director at Deep Dive in August of 2022. Before that, I had basically started as an educator in my early career, moved to a policymaker in public education, and ultimately took a career pivot where I really started to think about whether or not public education was doing what it's intended to do. And I went to work at a tech software startup. And from there, it really changed the way I thought about education in general and thinking specifically about our technical trades, whether we think of them as very modern or if we think of them as more traditional trades, both understanding the way in which we teach, but also the opportunities we give learners to really get hands-on, immerse themselves in the learning, and go out into the field ready to do the work. So I came full circle back to education when I moved to Albuquerque in August of 22, and I found Deep Dive, which was really exciting for me because it was a nice blend of both some of the traditional public education that I'd worked in and the policy making, but also this very bleeding edge understanding of how you prepare people for emerging tech sectors and the jobs that are in demand.
Okay. And those deep dive programs, some of them, I believe registration is opening up this week. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. We actually have a number of programs that run concurrently. Deep Dive is best known for their immersive boot camps, these 10 or 12 week long boot camps that really focus on the intensity and I think the internalization of a lot of the skills and tools and technologies that our learners need to apply immediately out the door. So folks know us for the boot camps. We have several boot camps that are about to tee up. We've got our full stack web development boot camp that is starting this month. Registration is actually closed for that one. Next opportunity is July. And then we have our data science boot camp, digital media boot camp, the Internet of Things bootcamp, and our Java and Android bootcamp. They basically span everything from web and app development, software development, all the way through to modern digital media, the production both for film and television, but really anywhere and anything that needs marketing, all the way to what most folks would think about as advanced manufacturing. So when we say IoT, we're talking about the Internet of Things. So taken as a whole, the Deep Dive Bootcamp stack really touches on the modern technology stack, from thinking of an idea, being able to prototype it as a product or service, and then really bringing it to the market. Very excited because we've got April start, and then also May starts for all of those boot camps. And registration is really simple. You can go to our website and start your registration there, and that's deepdivecoding.com. And
it seems like 10 to 12 weeks doesn't seem like a very long time to get the training one needs to make a career change. How do you go about making this curriculum for these courses?
Yeah, it's an important question. I think folks are really interested by where we source our inputs. And when I think about curriculum development broadly, the inputs come from a variety of places. The two key inputs that we get the ask from are through our business development team at CNM Ingenuity. They work with organizations and companies, both locally and really globally at this point, to identify what the emerging tech training needs are. And they might come to us for a custom training or for, being able to offer one of our programs right off the shelf. So we're listening to our business partners in that way. The second really key input is through the Deep Dive Advisory Committee. Since Deep Dive was established back in 2014, we have always partnered with the industry to really understand what their talent needs are. And that advisory committee meets annually, multiple times, to provide us with input. And oftentimes we're asking for that input, right? Are we getting it right? Are we delivering to the field our graduates who are ready to begin on day one? The other sort of key inputs that we have are listening to our learners. Oftentimes, once our learners are in that 10 or 12-week boot camp, we hear from them what more they're interested in learning about. And then lastly, I would say one of the strongest input points we have are the subject matter experts who are our instructors. Those folks are often the ones who have developed the curriculum from the very beginning. They are subject matter experts coming from the field, and they have their own networks where they're regularly communicating with folks who are hiring managers or actively engaging in the tech and the tools that they're teaching. I will also add our alumni. They are very vocal in providing us with feedback, and it's really neat now as they have moved into their career trajectory as hiring managers, as leaders, and in some cases, C-suite professionals. They love to give back to us as well, and it's super important to hear what they have to say.
Mm-hmm. And you moved to Albuquerque for this job at CNM. What do you think is just unique about the programs that you're offering there?
Yeah, that's a fun question for me to answer. Tech boot camps have been around for a while. I think the big headline for me when I think about Deep Dive being embedded in the CNM ecosystem, no one has done it quite like us, as well, as long, as affordably, and as proudly as Deep Dive has done it. We have, I think, more than 1,500 alumni out in the field. We have an advisory committee that has run for more than almost 10 years now. We have alumni who are now giving back to that advisory. And because it is situated in a community college, right, you can look at different curriculum. You can really see how tech boot camps have become a vital part of preparing tech talent as more and more emerging tech has just sped up the need for talent and getting them quickly trained. But in a community college, I think there's two or three really key differentiators. And CNM in particular does a few things that are just different than other tech boot camps. And so one is the folks who come to work with Deep Dive are choosing a community college. So those subject matter experts have industry expertise. They might be in sort of the twilight of their career or that second stage of their career, and they're ready to give back, and they're choosing a community college. Our administrators and our partners at the college have all chosen to work in the community college and to prepare our learners for what comes after. And that really differentiates us from other tech boot camps, and particularly those that are for-profit. The second thing that I think CNM does as a whole to support our learners, as well as the broader student body at CNM, is to provide services and resources like CNM Wellness, Higher CNM, and a variety of supports that I think our learners really value when they come into a really immersive and often intensive boot camp. We provide wraparound services from before the time they start, as they are preparing for orientation. They meet with our team. They have a regular onboarding process, almost as if you're getting ready to start a job. They meet with our instructors in advance. And on day one, we orient them not only to the deep dive programs, but to the whole power of the CNM community. And I think that sets their mind at ease because a lot of things can happen in 12 weeks. Life can come at you pretty fast. And when you want to be focused and very dedicated on acquiring those skills, I think that sort of gives you a peace of mind that you know, should something come up, you can turn to the deep dive team and really find a resource, a solution, so you can remain focused on your learning. To me, I think removing those challenges is a key differentiator, in addition to it just being embedded in a community college that is very much focused on what the community needs.
And Nora, how would you just describe the students who take these courses?
I think our students are so very different. They are, we have a wide range of learners. So often, and let me just pause. I'll say the deep dive program portfolio is probably best known for the boot camps, those 10 or 12 week full-time Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 boot camps. But we have grown to offer about 6 part-time programs. And those, I would say, really focus on an audience of learners who are probably in a tech-related field, and they are looking to skill up, looking at certifications, looking to really continue really growing in that particular field. For our bootcamp learners, many of them are taking a leap of faith. They are going to make a career change. They have decided that they want to commit to a tech career, and they are going to go into that boot camp full-time Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So it's important to call out those two different audiences, folks who are already in the tech sector and looking to level up, and then folks who are really looking at a career pivot. So I would say as a whole, our learners, they range in age from about 18 to 82. They may come to us with, a high school equivalency, and then there are some who have terminal degrees. And they are also coming to us, I think, with very different goals. For some, they are interested in acquiring a full-time job working for a tech company here. But we also see that folks are coming to us with a singular idea for a product or service. They are entrepreneurial minded, and they're really interested in building up their tech skills and then being able to, sort of hang up their own shingle and start their own business. And then I would say the third are folks who really drive our creative economy locally, folks who are looking to enhance their technical skills because they are, in one way or another contributing to the creative economy.
And if somebody comes to you and asks, how will the deep dive boot camps allow me to change my career and get into a tech job? I mean, what do you tell them? What are the numbers or the success that you've had in getting your students placed with these local tech companies?
So often we'll turn the question back to them because we understand it is a very big commitment, particularly for folks who are taking the boot camp, but also for folks who are taking those part-time jobs. In many cases, those folks are already working part-time or full-time. So we know it's a big commitment. So often we'll ask them what they are setting out to do. In fact, we survey them before they start our programs to really understand what they are hoping to achieve. In terms of data points, we typically will talk through success stories that we have, really trying to illustrate to our learners where our graduates have gone. We also lean a lot on our industry partners in terms of the hiring that they've done. So when you walk into for example, our IoT Bootcamp lab, we have this massive vinyl poster of all the logos of companies that have hired our graduates. And it's everything from, Sandia Labs and Meta and Nike and Trek, all the way through to local companies like Telemetry Insights, Proof Points. So we really try to demonstrate to them, folks who have similar types of experience to them, what a learner can expect. And so we do try to establish attainable and achievable goals for them. But if I give you another example, for full stack web development bootcamp, we often will talk to folks about a trajectory toward a junior web developer role. Right. So when you complete that 10-week full stack web development bootcamp, you can anticipate competing for a junior web developer role. But we do know when it comes down to some of the most compelling data, the increase in compensation that our learners see year over year tends to be somewhere between 25% and 45%. And that's extraordinary to see that type of increase in your bank account after making such an intensive commitment for 10 or 12 weeks.
For 10 or 12 weeks, and you're seeing 25 to 40% pay salary increase.
And it does vary widely, so I try to set that up. But yes, historically, we have seen our learners really see that increase. And it matters what they are expecting to do. In most cases, those are folks who are pursuing employment with a company. And it's always important to remind them, too, that compensation will often include benefits, and that matters.
And that's interesting because, you mentioned Sandia National Labs and how CNM has success at placing its bootcamp students into jobs at Sandia National Labs, where you also have people who are PhDs that probably spent 12 years to get their degree, and in 12 weeks you can open up career opportunities. How do you just ensure that it has that success? How do you work to make sure that these companies want these boot camp graduates?
Yeah, and this is super important. We have an employer outreach manager, and one of the phrases that he will often use in the professional development that he delivers our deep dive learners is that it's important to validate your certificate, to be able to talk about the skills, the tools, the technologies that you've learned, and how they relate to your past experience. So for someone who is landing an interview, a technical interview at typically a third party that's working with Sandia National Labs or with the labs itself, those are folks who probably have prior experience. Doesn't necessarily mean a degree, but they will likely have prior experience that is really bolstered by the new skills that they acquire at Deep Dive. So, when we are talking to folks who are maybe earlier on in their career, or if they have less technical experience, we often are coaching them up on ways to talk about their ability to learn, say, new coding languages, their ability to problem solve, let's say in advanced manufacturing settings, so that they can demonstrate to a hiring manager that while they have 10 or 12 weeks in the boot camp, they are also a strong communicator in terms of their interpersonal or durable skills, but beyond that, very much a collaborator, because across all of our programs, our learners are not just learning the tools and technologies, but they're learning how to work as a team. So I guess in summary, we take into account where our learners are. We focus on meeting them where they are, and then providing them not only this technical training, but really positioning them within the industry to understand, okay, this may all be new to you, but bring with you the skills that you have and learn to talk about not only those technical skills that you learned, but the strength of, your prior experience.
And what are those technologies that you incorporate into the boot camp curriculum that might be surprising for folks, who have an opinion about what a traditional trade school is? What's something kind of unique, a technology that might surprise folks?
Sure. So I'll use our digital media bootcamp as an example, and maybe I'll try to give two, but beginning with digital media, when we think about digital media, I think a lot of folks right now, particularly in Albuquerque, think about film and television. And I always try to level set with folks that digital media is really any audio or visual data that you're going to capture in a digital format. And so that can have a very broad application. A critical piece of the digital media curriculum is storytelling. We begin with a paper-based game design activity, and it is really helping folks understand how you go from a paper-based game, like a board game, to a digital narrative. So thinking like how Pixar creates a digital storyboard to create their feature-length films. That can grow into a learner learning the Unity game engine, if that is a particular interest to them. And so I think that arc might surprise folks, particularly when they're thinking film and television. We're really thinking about where the intersection of those technical skills and, in many ways, communication meet. I think another example would be in the Internet of Things bootcamp. So these are folks who are taking an idea and they're able to physically develop a prototype of what that product would look like. And these are smart products. So think of the smart home products that you might have, like a Nest thermostat or a Ring doorbell, that can capture data through sensors, and then deliver that data in an easy to understand way on an app on your phone. They do a significant amount of hands-on learning that goes from their lab space on their computer, maybe writing some code, to the whiteboard where they're talking through, if you need to get here, what are the steps that you need to take to get there? And, I'll walk into that lab and I'll see our instructor with two students kind of thinking through anything from a math equation to physically drawing out what their product might look like and the pluses and minuses of a certain format. So I think oftentimes we're thinking high tech, we're thinking lasers, we're thinking code, but so much of it is this ability to communicate your idea and really show somebody what it means.
Mm-hmm. And to try to maybe look into the future a little bit, what do you think are those local industries that are taking off in the Albuquerque area that need workers that might want to go through a boot camp model to train up a local workforce?
Like our learners, it is varied. In the last 3 weeks, we've been approached by one organization to train up their team on Salesforce, probably one of the most ubiquitous custom relationship management tools. It is a course that we offer part-time. We have been able to work with the college, with the Business, Health, and Technology at CNM to capture, I believe it's something like $862,000 in federal funding through the U.S. government to establish a quantum science laboratory. So I think anything quantum related is right on the edge. And then I think the third example is probably the number of small businesses that are coming to us for digital media production. Whether it is a mom and pop shop that needs a great website for their restaurant, or it is someone who needs a promo video for a brand new product that they've developed, like Build with Robots, who came to us with that request. And then, of course, you have the web and software development that, while it is by no means emerging, it is incredibly consistent. Graduates from our full stack web development program and our Java and Android program are both very much in demand. But I would say those are three that just in the past couple of weeks have really sort of popped up to the top of the inbox, if you will.
And quantum theory and quantum science, that's also kind of a good example of what we were talking about, how, that requires PhD level professionals and boot camp graduates. There's something for everybody in the economy of quantum mechanics or quantum theory, right?
That's right. Yeah. What I think we're hoping to accomplish is to get folks into a laboratory setting where they are actually able to, test out some of the technology that we're using, and in a lot of cases, just see how it works, so that they are prepared for those technical interviews. I'm excited about it. I know we just started ordering a variety of different tools. And some of the stuff I have to, Google and figure out, like, oh, okay, so what is this going to mean for our learners? What is the experience actually going to be like? Fortunately, there are a lot of great demo videos, but it is really interesting to see just how hands-on that can be for folks who might be experiencing quantum science for the first time and may feel like it is out of reach. I think it makes it seem quite practical and in many ways tangible for them.
Mm-hmm. And Nora, if somebody heard this and was interested in maybe going that route and doing a career change, there's like scholarships, information about these programs. Where should we send those people to? Yeah,
so they can always go to deepdivecoding.com /affordability, where you can read about all of the different funding sources that we have. But as I mentioned when we began, I think Deep Dive has really benefited as a tech bootcamp training to be embedded in the CNM ecosystem. We have 2 incredible funding opportunities right now. One is the Training for Your Future Scholarship. This is funding explicitly for workforce training tuition assistance. We're really grateful that the New Mexico legislature saw that and has really invested in it. And then in partnership with CNM Workforce and Community Success, we also have, I think it's a little bit over $1 million in funding for internships. And so we have already started to see our learners attend a deep dive boot camp, fully funded through the Training for Your Future Scholarship, and then move toward an internship. In fact, I think we've already positioned 2 learners for internships that are funded through that funding, which is terrific.
Okay, great. Well, Nora, thank you so much for coming in and joining our podcast today.
I really enjoyed it, and I could talk forever about deep dive, but I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk today.
All right. Thank you very much, Nora.
All right. Take care.
Bye.